Is the hype surrounding Automobilista 2 and its recent 1.6 update overblown and unjustified? That is what we're going to talk about in this video. Welcome back to the Gamer Muscle YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing so that you can unsubscribe, and thank you for clicking the like button twice. So, Automobilista 2, they did a fantastic update. Reza constantly doing game-changing updates to Automobilista 2 over the last 15,000 years, and gradually AMS2 has got more and more polished to the point that it is now categorically the best version possible of Project Cars 2. Just like what Reza did with rFactor 1, where Automobilista 1 became the best possible version of rFactor 1. But the real question is it really justifying the amount of hype that AMS2 has had, and what is really causing the degree of hype that AMS2 has? Because when you actually get into the nuts and bolts of things, and this is not to dismiss the work that Reza have done, they've obviously put in a lot of work, but so have the race room developers, so have iRacing, so have Kunos, so have like every developer, LMU developers. The amount of stuff that they've actually done to rFactor 2 to get LMU to the state that it is actually mind-boggling. All these developers do insane work. Why the disproportionate, or seemingly disproportionate, hype for the Automobilista 2 1.6 update? Well, I think there's a couple of reasons behind this. One is the jump in quality, or perceivable quality, from one version of a game to another version of a game, which would actually be an argument for a game being really quite bad for it to then be able to be improved, which raises some interesting questions if you look at previous updates and the hype for those previous updates. Put that to one side. But then also, I think there's a huge amount of, shall we say, influence on perception of games by the developer and also by the general user base and the mega fans of a video game, and then how that perception is massaged. So the way a developer communicates updates and how much they hype stuff and how much they then leverage a very passionate user base can really help the groundswell of making things gain traction, which is absolutely fantastic marketing, and you actually have to give really big credit to it. I would say another master of doing this is Ian Bell, and with the Project Cars 1, Project Cars 2 launch, the way that they spin stuff to build interest in Project Cars is absolutely genius and fantastic marketing. When you get into the nuts and bolts of it, there is some amazing stuff that happened with Madness Engine. And again, amazing work that Reza have done. Really, really incredible stuff. But if you were to compare it fairly with other racing simulators and work that goes into other racing simulators, not necessarily that different. There are individual parts to these things where you can actually go, well, no, that actually truly is really a totally new thing. You know, but again, there's totally new things that other developers are doing, and also small things that developers are doing that actually have a bigger impact on the game than some like revolutionary wet dynamic track system or God knows what. So there's a large part of this hype is based on marketing, spin doctoring, and politics, which is weird, but that is how the world generally operates. So the real question is, though, is the hype actually justified? Now, I would say, in some ways, yes, and in other ways, no. It gets quite complicated because a lot of it is actually very subjective, and if someone didn't enjoy something and then they do enjoy it, well, from their perspective, it's going to be really hype. They're going to really love the new update or a new change. Whereas someone that was somewhat ambivalent would be like, well, they're not going to care, they're not going to really feel that hype, or they're not going to be motivated to make like a really excited YouTube video about it, are they? So the crux of it, though, I'd say, you might want to hear from an experienced sim racer's perspective. I'd say, sadly, I am an experienced sim racer. I didn't want to be, guys. I didn't choose this. From an experienced sim racer's perspective, I would say that the hype is definitely overblown, especially when it comes to core handling of Automobilista 2. You look at the newer cars in AMS2, and I'd probably say that the best one at the moment is the LMP2 Gen 2 car, and then some of like GT3 cars. But if you look at the best cars, single out just the best cars in AMS2, they still have the fundamental Madness engine driving mechanic. Reeza have done an amazing job of fixing the degree to which they sort of trolley spin, and you will tend to get understeer if you go too hot into a corner or you get on throttle too much and crab walk out of the corner, which is really good that they actually fixed that, because it was originally you would just, even the last version, you would just stamp the throttle, car insta rotates, and that was just absolutely insane. So massive credit. I think that's the biggest end resultant property of the updates with newer cars. Like they do definitely drive more naturally, especially if you're with certain setups and things. So that is actually a really significant change in the handling. Also, they are generally operating in a smaller window of slip, or it's the way you drive is one in a smaller window of slip. So I'm not discounting that, because that is actually a very significant change for driving, especially if you're not the fastest of driver, and just the general approach for the vast majority of people playing AMS2 will actually now be much more in line with what you'd expect. However, even with the LMP2 car, and even with the nice GT3 cars or other newer content in the simulator, the crux of driving and how you drive Automobilista 2 is still basically the same. It's just happening in a smaller window. And that crux is that you actually really do just welly the cars into sort of this bizarre hovercrafty slide. It's just that the hovercrafty slide is more minimal now, rather than being such a huge slide, and they've actually managed to get rid of those weird bits of rotational behaviour for the most part. So, but yeah, fundamentally, if you do hot lapping in it, and if you're a faster sim racer, you will still feel that the car is always never really in like a groove on the track, that the tyres are never really fully biting in, and that you're basically always in some like degree of pretty monstrous slip. Now, obviously some people go, oh, Game of Muscle, you've not driven a Formula 1 car or a GT3 car, so how can you know? And it's like, well, okay, there's videos you can watch of real onboards, and then someone will go, well, you know, maybe you're misjudging that. And you're like, okay, fine. But then you go, why is Live for Speed not like that? Why is AMS1 not like that? Why is ACC not like that? Why is AC1 not like that? Why is iRacing not like that? And why, seemingly, when you watch onboards, are they not like that? And then, of the cars I have driven, which isn't many, they were not like that. So this is the thing. It's like, you can dispute stuff as much as you want, but I think it's slightly flawed. This is not a perfect way of noting if things are a bit weird in a simulator, so I'm not saying this is a perfect way of determining what's right or wrong or what's good or bad, but often when you have a certain behaviour that exhibits itself in just one simulator, the case will be is that either that simulator is doing something way better than other simulators, which can happen, and that's fantastic, or it's doing something completely wrong compared to all the other simulators, which isn't so fantastic. And I tend to be, myself, I'm a bit on the pessimistic side when it comes to really complicated simulators and complicated software and just things in general that are complicated. I tend to be more on the side that, hang on a minute, this thing that's very different to everything else is probably not correct. Then when you line it up to video footage and all the real world drivers I talk to are people that own race cars, and they're like, yeah, it's a bit weird, you know. So basically, the hype thing is that I think most of it is founded on the fact that Reeza have done a really good job marketing. Reeza have a very passionate fan base that have promoted that. People generally really like to see progress, change and improvement, and I think everyone can agree that the work that Reeza have done is absolutely phenomenal, and love just seeing polished games, and MS2 is really quite a polished title. I think all sim racers are just bloody fed up of games, not just sims. I think gamers are fed up of just sims and games and everything being just a bit buggy, crashing, just stupid, just annoying, just bad things to interact with. And I think that's more important than handling or anything else, to be honest. You just want to play a bloody video game at the end of the day. That's what we're doing here. So I think that is what the hype is based on for the most part. And just a desperation, the sheer desperation of sim racers to find something positive. Then it's also worth pointing out, from a YouTuber perspective or bloody content creator, what type of content is this? Yeah, not the content that anybody asked for, let's be honest. But if you're a content creator, there is a massive incentive. I don't even know what words I'm saying. There's a huge incentive to be positive and to also point out positives, because when you're positive, people get riled up emotionally, they enjoy it, it's like the Christmas spirit. They don't have bloody Winter Wonderland in London isn't about the positivity of the Christmas spirit. It's turning a Dickensian Christmas spirit into a hellhole capitalist exercise in extracting money out of gullible people that are falling for fake positivism. Goddamn Winter Wonderland. Jesus Christ, I should go to it. Honestly, Winter Wonderland to me is possibly hell on earth, or if not, very close to it. I love Christmas. I'm off on a rant here, guys. Sorry if you were here for the AMS2 conversation. I love Christmas. I like the actual real part of it. I like trees. I like walking. Food, amazing. Family, all the actual good stuff of Christmas. The repeating same 3 songs, the whole, oh my god, it ruins it. And so YouTubers, can we keep on track here? Trey's derailed. YouTubers are motivated to be very overly positive, to leverage that goodwill, because even if they're not really doing it intentionally in a negative way, they just want to be positive. They want subscribers to be happy, they want viewers to be happy, they want advertisers to be happy, they want it to be a good vibe. But that biases YouTubers to producing overly positive content, I feel. But maybe that's just my miserable, cynical, bold git British perspective, where I feel that everyone should be just sad. Because if they're not, there's something weird going on. Someone's put something in the water. If I see someone smiling, I'm suspicious. It's like they live with the glasses. I'm like, oh god, there's something going on, guys. But yes, anyway, so I feel that AMS2 is being overhyped. I do feel it's disproportionate. I think Reezer have done a really good job. I do think people should be positive about it. I think YouTubers should say positive stuff. I think that's great, and I'm happy that people are having fun. I'm actually having fun with it as well in many ways. I like how it fits in. Check our previous video. I really like how I think AMS2 will fit in with low fuel motorsports. But at the same time, over-the-top hype and over-the-top positivity makes me nauseous and makes me want to put a power drill through my forehead. But maybe that's actually just watching BBC Parliament. It's hard to tell. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Happy tea drinking. Take care. Goodbye.